YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with some more NFL position rankings predicting the upcoming season. Pass rushers today. I had you guys vote on the community section on our channel. You guys voted for me to rank the 32 best, regardless of the team and the type of pass rusher. We combined 3-4 outside linebackers, 4-3 defensive ends, and I got 32 ranked for you guys today. Again, we're predicting the upcoming season here, so it's not really based off the past. Some of what they've done actually goes into that, obviously, but predicting the upcoming season. So we're clear here. A lot of good pass rushers left out. You know, it shows how many good pass rushers there actually is in the league. One thing I've noticed, a lot of these guys, and from the past too, there's a lot of one-year wonder pass rushers, you know, and it's tough to identify which of these guys will be that. You know, seeing guys have like 1 year of crazy amount of sacks and they kind of fall off the face of the earth or get replaced or something in no time. So some guys were tricky to rank, but we're going to go through them 32-1 in just a moment. 40K, that's our subscriber goal by the end of the year. We got the NFL season coming up. We're going to have recaps each week, power rankings updated every single week, score predictions, straight up picks with multiple Goat House members. It's going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait. Hopefully you can subscribe, turn on notifications, and join us for that. Clicking the like button would be much appreciated. And check out our Twitter there also in the description. We got some big news on the way too for the upcoming season. Cannot wait for all of it, everything we have planned. Let's start with the bottom four. Well, they're not really the bottom four. It's just in this video. You know, all 32 of these guys are very good, can make a huge impact. We could talk at the end if I remember who just missed the cut. I always say that at the end. I just, you know, default mode goes in. But at 32, I got Romeo Okwara from the Detroit Lions. He's kind of a hybrid pass rusher, you know, more of an outside linebacker, and that's kind of what makes the Lions defense a hybrid, you know, not really a 3-4 or 4-3. Okwara can play the defense and the outside linebacker. And as soon as Patricia came in last year, he really had his one and only good season, so it's kind of one of the risky guys to rank here. But I think another year with Patricia as the coach there, you know, he kind of made a statement. You know, that's his weapon, and he's going to be used, and he can play. And I think that'll continue. So it's definitely a guy to watch out for. They gave him a contract extension for a reason. I think it's one of those Patricia weapons. So I think he'll have production this year as well. And one other thing I'd like to add is this isn't based off sacks. I'm not predicting this. This isn't in order of the sack leaders. More goes into it than sacks. You know, a lot of you may run and look at who got how many sacks. That's wrong. You know, pressure, sacks. I want to know if you could stop the run, too. Some of these guys can drop back and cover. I'm looking for everything here, all right? 31, we got a rookie. We got Montez Sweat from the Washington Redskins. I think it's a great fit. I think we'll play opposite of Ryan Kerrigan in their 3-4. He was very high on my big board. They stole him. I know there was some health concerns, but it's not a concern to me. He was the third best pass rusher in the draft, in my opinion. I think he's pro ready. You know, some people thought because he's an athletic freak, he's not ready. That's false. Just because he's an athletic freak doesn't mean he's not ready. He's ready. He reminds me of some of the maybe one single guy actually that's at the top of this list, towards the top of this list for me. So I think he'll contribute right away. And like I said, he was the third best prospect for me. We'll see if the other two make the list. It really depends on the situation, though. I think Montez Sweat's in a great situation there at Ryan Kerrigan and the Redskins. Can't wait to watch that. 30 is Vic Beasley. We talked about the one-year wonders. Can Vic Beasley end up being one of those guys? Because a couple years ago, he led the NFL in sacks and then really hasn't done too much since. But I see traits in this guy. You know, I think he's very capable. And I'm kind of, you know, if it's based off what he's done the last 2 years, he probably shouldn't be on this list. But I'm kind of predicting a little bit of a bounce back here. It just depends on how they use him. You know, Dan Quinn's a great defensive mind, so I trust him. But, I mean, they got to use Beasley a little more. You know, they're kind of switching him around a little bit where he plays and taking him out a lot. You know, I think he has the traits to be a solid pass rusher, and he's had a great season. Doesn't mean he's great, but I think he can get back to something similar, so that's why he's on the list here. But this is kind of the prove it year, but he needs the chance. 29 is going to be Zadarius Smith of the Green Bay Packers, another guy that really last year was his only really good year. It was a very good season. Can we get more of that? You know, can we see more of that? Now that he's on a new team, he's kind of the guy there. I know they have a few other guys, but I don't see why he can't do something similar. I know it's asking a lot for the pass rushers to stay consistent, especially the ones that had one really good year, and asking a lot for a guy going to a new team, a lot of pressure, but I mean, he looked really good last year, so I definitely still think he's a top 32 pass rusher. I mean, based off last year, probably higher than that 29. But what are we going to get from him? I still expect a top 32 pass rusher here. Next 4 pass rushers here. Number 28, another Atlanta Falcon here, Takk McKinley. I think he breaks out this year. He's had some solid years, nothing crazy. I think he steps it up here and possibly could get double-digit sacks here. A high motor guy, so I like him actually above Vic Beasley now. Really hasn't been in the past. Maybe last year, right about the same, maybe a little better in terms of getting to the quarterback. I know more goes into that, but I think a little bit of a breakout year here. He's at 28. Could be the same thing for the young Eagles pass rusher and Derek Barnett, who I was very high on in the draft a couple years ago. Made an impact his rookie year. Last year was injured a lot, so for the whole year actually. So I think he comes back strong. I don't think he's going to have a crazy amount of sacks. I don't think he's going to get double digits. I think he'll get pretty close, but he stops to run at a high level, and he's going to force some fumbles. He's going to make some plays. So I like him in the top 32, even though he missed last year. Justin Houston at 26. I mean, we know what you're going to get from him for the most part. He's going to contribute. He's going to make an impact. I don't know if he gets a crazy amount of sacks like he used to. He's switching the role a little bit, more of a defensive end now, which I'm not really doubting, but at the same time, I don't think he's going to produce these crazy numbers getting up there in age and making the change. So he's at 26, but definitely still makes the list, definitely make an impact. A rookie at 25, Josh Allen, from the Jacksonville now on the Jacksonville Jaguars, from Kentucky, was number 2 on my board overall in the drafts, and I thought was the best pass rusher in the draft. But how much reps will he get? Maybe not as much as like a Nick Bosa or something, but I think there's a reason they drafted him, and I think they'll use him in actually a bunch of different ways, and he doesn't need that many reps to make a huge impact. He can drop back in coverage, he's going to get the sacks, he can stop the run, underrated in the run game, honestly, and in coverage. So he'll make an impact in multiple different ways for the Jags. That pass rush should be fun to watch. So he, as a rookie, comes in at number 25, and I'm ranking rookies because I'm predicting this upcoming year, so I don't want to hear about that. I always hear about it, but, I just can't leave rookies out if I'm predicting the upcoming year. Hopefully that makes sense. Now we're going to go to 24 down to 21. 24 is going to be Harold Landry of the Tennessee Titans. I was super high on him in the draft last year. Titans stole him in the second round. Didn't get much playing time early. Most of the year the first half of the year was more of a rotation guy. And then when he got the reps he deserved, he got a lot of pressure. If you go look at the sacks, he didn't get as many sacks as you would like. But the key is he got the pressure for the young guys that eventually turns into sacks. I think this year he will lead the Tennessee Titans in sacks, and I'm still high on him as a prospect. He's going to continue to grow, and he comes in at 24 on the list. As a prospect thing he needs to work on a little bit was stopping the run, so I guess that's an area where he can still work on. So that's why he's down at 24, but I probably have him higher than most people. I just think he'll really get to the quarterback this year. Brandon Graham at 23, he'll still make an impact. I think people are a little too high on Brandon Graham. He's not really the same as he was a few years ago. He's declining a little bit. I do like that he can do everything. He can get out of the quarterback, stop the run. He's just not going to do an insane amount of it anymore. Derek Barnett could catch him here, but Eagles duo on the list here with Brandon Graham coming at 23 and Derek Barnett we already showed. Michael Bennett, former Eagle, actually at 22. Michael Bennett gets in the backfield a lot. Run plays is what stands out. A lot of tackles for losses that I've noticed watching him over the years. How much effort does he give in the regular season? That's the question. I know he's capable of being better than 22. This is where I feel comfortable with him. But he'll be a pass rusher for, I know the Eagles moved around a bit, but he'll be a pass rusher for the Patriots. And he'll make a huge impact in the playoffs once they get there. Jerry Hughes is number 21 of the Buffalo Bills. Another guy that, he's not going to light up the stat sheet. He's not going to get an insane amount of sacks, but he gets a good amount of pressure, could stop the run. I believe he's a guy that really can line up in different ways, too. If you want to line him up at the end, play outside linebacker, I think either one. So Hughes is an impressive one that gets pressure to the quarterback. Hopefully those turn into more sacks. He's got a good amount of sacks over the years, but could get more here. And that's what pressure means in the future if you continue to improve. So Jerry Hughes at 21. We're on to 20, down to 17. Number 20 is going to be Nick Bosa, the rookie. Like I said, I had Josh Allen a little higher on my board, one spot higher on my board. I was a big fan of Josh Allen all around, and Bosa had slight injury concern. So that's why Josh Allen was number 2 on my board. Bosa was 3. Quinn Williams obviously number 1. But Nick Bosa, perfect fit there opposite of D Ford. And he'll get the reps. He'll start. He'll make a huge impact. Almost could put him higher. It's just, somebody asked me, do you think Nick Bosa will play every single game this season? That's a tough question. I think he'll play most of it. I trust him. But will you see him in every game? Already some minor injury scares, so hopefully he can stay healthy going forward here. If he stays healthy, he's about to break, into the top 10 in no time here. Trey Flowers at 19, huge impact in the playoffs, pretty solid regular season. Now going back to Patricia, I think what he played in the playoffs could carry on and keep going there, and that can make him higher than 19. But that's a good pickup for the Lions. They got a pretty good D-line there. He's coming in at number 19. 18 is Yannick Ngakoue, a guy that really could be, we'll talk about number 17 and number 18. If we did this, went back to these rankings at the end of this upcoming season and ranked where they really ended up being, I think both 17 and 18 we could be talking about in the top 10, or we could they may not be even on this list. Ngakoue had a ridiculous rookie season, not as good last year, but pretty solid. I want him to get more involved in the run game a little more, and I'm glad that he ended the holdout, got back to practice. So did we see like a ridiculous rookie year, maybe like a one-year wonder? I don't think so, because he still was solid last year. It's just hard to know what we're going to get here this year. And again, I want him to get a little more involved in the run game. He's a freakish athlete for a pass rusher too. So that's a guy that, again, he could be well up there, or he could be at the bottom of this list. Like I'm at 18. Everson Griffin, 17. 2 years ago, he was probably at the top, towards the top of this list. Kind of known as maybe the best 4-3 defensive end in football. One of them. And then last year, the first 2 games of the year, he had sacks in both games. And then he had that off-the-field / health issue he had to take care of. He missed a bunch of games, came back, really wasn't the same. So you can make a case both ways. He's just didn't come back the same, and he's not going to come back the same, or he's kind of going to get back to that normal Everson Griffin, which was just, even in the beginning of the year when he played, he looked like he was that normal Everson Griffin. So, you can make the case for either one. So if he ends up coming back to himself, definitely better than 17. But if he can't figure it out still, then he might not even be on this list. So that's a tricky one to rank there. But I guess it still has a ceiling there. We're going on to ranking 16, then up 13. D Ford's at 16, another one. Is he a one-year wonder? Last year was just ridiculous. That was really his only really good year. Maybe a solid year before that. Really took him a while to figure it out, figure out his role and make that impact. And now he's going to a new team. So will that slow him down? That's why it's another tricky one to rank. He could be up there again like he was last year, but he can have a setback, or, he needs to stop the run a little better too. So it's a tricky one to rank. I really liked his game last year. He's going to get pressure on the quarterback, force some fumbles. So he'll be at 16 here. Calais Campbell at 15. I'm thinking a slight decline. I think there was a slight decline last year. 2 years ago, it was absolutely insane season. And I think a slight decline this year, but still a very top-tier talent. There's this many top-tier talents. That's how good the pass rushers are. They got Ngakoue, who we saw, and they have Josh Allen, who we saw already. So 3 guys for the Jaguars. They're going to see a good rotation. There's a reason they got Josh Allen. They're going to be rotating. Campbell's not getting any younger, but he can stop the run at a high level too. That's what I like about him. TJ Watt at 14. This guy's surprising to me. I figured he'd be good as a prospect, but I thought it would be one of those guys that would take a little time. But right off the bat, he's been just fun to watch, been really good. And really, him and number 13, I think very similar play style. I think Kerrigan obviously got him beat with a little more size. But Watt's been super impressive, can continue to climb this list. And then Kerrigan at 13, you know what you're going to get from Kerrigan. He's going to make some plays. Another guy that's going to get some turnovers, force some fumbles, and we know he's going to get somewhere around 11, 12, maybe 13 sacks. That's what he's going to get. We know he's going to get. I think somewhat underrated, very good talent, and now they have Montez Sweat to pair with him. So 2 Redskins on this list as well. He comes in at 13, and now we're on to the top 12 down to 9. Number 12, Cameron Jordan of the Saints, a 4-3 defensive end. I think a very slight decline this year, now into his 30s. Doesn't really mean much. He played at a very high level I mean, every year. I was about to say last year, every year. And I think he's going to play at a very high level this year as well. Just maybe not quite as good. I think some of these guys could start to slip by him a little bit, and that's just kind of what I'm predicting. Very slight. I think the youth, maybe it's the youth here. So Cam Jordan with another good season coming up number 12. Bradley Chubb at 11, already in his second year, and I got him up at 11. I mean, there was a reason I had him number 1 on my big board 2 years ago. What I was surprised about was a 3-4 team draft on him. I thought he was strictly a 4-3 end. A little worried, I knew he would get it eventually. A little worried, though, about first year, but he made a big impact his first year being an outside linebacker. A guy that's going to stop the run at a high level, and he's going to get after the quarterback, make some plays, and already a big jump in his second year. And I think at this time next year, we can talk about him well into the top 10, easily in the top 10. That's how high I am on Bradley Chubb. Number 10 is DeMarcus Lawrence. Maybe most people, 10's a very good spot. There's a lot of top-tier pass rushers, but I think most people would probably put him top maybe 6 or 5. I'm not quite that high on him, He could stay a little more consistent. I just don't think he's as good. Honestly, I just don't think he's as good or will be as good this year as the 9 guys in front of him. But I do think he's very, very good, worth the contract, because you don't see, it's hard to get your hands on those pass rushers. So he comes in at number 10. Number 9 is Joey Bosa, another tough one because he could be a top-tier guy too. I want to see him stay healthy. I just kind of want to see more of him, which I'm predicting he'll be healthy and have a pretty darn good season. There's some plays when he came back last year, they looked a little slow, couldn't really get off the block, and maybe that had something to do with coming back from the injury. Makes sense. And then there's some plays where he just has ridiculous get-off and just hand techniques where it's just unblockable. So which Joey Bosa are we going to get? We get the healthy one, the non-healthy one, the one that's got his technique and his firepower down. I need another year to just see this here for him. Because some people, I think just because what they expect from him and his name, I think some people want to put him in the top 5 maybe. I just say not so fast, but I know he's very capable. But 9's still a big number here for him. Again, there's a lot of good pass rushers, even not on this list. We're on to 8 through 5. Number 8 is going to be Chandler Jones. Doesn't get him not being a top 100 was pretty ridiculous. He gets an insane amount of pressure and sacks each year. Another guy that has experience playing defensive end and outside linebacker, and the Cardinals going to switch it up a little bit. It's not going to affect him. He's still going to play at a high level. Ridiculous, pass rush traits, pass rush moves on the outside. He's a playmaker too, so he's definitely a top 8 pass rusher. He could lead the NFL in sacks this year. Definitely could. We've seen it before. Frank Clark at 7. And 1, I was kind of back and forth on because we've seen solid years, and then we've seen the one really good year last year. So a little risky to put the guy with one really good year up here. But just kind of going back and remembering and watching a little bit, I loved his season last year, and I don't think the change in team will affect anything. I know that maybe the defensive coaching is a little better in Seattle, but it's not like he's changing it's like the same exact fit because the Chiefs are kind of going that style of defense. Frank Clark can do everything, and a guy that's surprising how good he was, based on his prospect value, I should say. Not a whole bunch of expectations. He does it all. Guy's a freak. He's going to keep on climbing. I got him at 7. Another young freak is Myles Garrett, very young. Just drafted a couple years ago, number 1 overall, and I think he makes that jump up to here to 6 now. Maybe not discussing the top 10 yet. People expecting maybe top 10 this year. Yeah, I think he's at 6. I think he's a candidate for leading the NFL in sacks. You want to see more, which he can do more. But I got him at 6 from now. Got to jump for him. Number 5 is Jadeveon Clowney, the Houston Texans, as long as he's back. And I think he'll be back. Pass rushers aren't running backs. They don't sit there and hold out for a whole year. I guess it could happen. But just think about it. If you played football, in my opinion, take away your size. Say you can be gifted with any type of size and athleticism you want. You just pick the position you would want to play. Mine would be a pass rusher. These guys aren't going to sit out. It's got to be so much fun. Just your job is to chase down the quarterback. These guys ain't going to sit. Clowney's going to come back to play football here. And why he's 5. You may say, well, really, on the same page, 6, 7, 8, they're probably going to get more sacks than him this year. Probably right. I think Clowney would be a little less in sacks. He'll get a good amount of pressure, but it's not about the sacks. Anybody who just goes right away and looks at how many sacks they got, it's important, but shame on you if you do that. I think you really gotta watch. You gotta determine how many pressures they get, but stopping the run, everything goes into it. If they can cover, that's a bonus. Stopping the run, tackling efficiency. There's forcing fumbles if they're highly instinctive or if there's a lucky fumbles. Clowney does everything, and he's still got a crazy high ceiling. He's going to get better this year. He does everything for this Texans team. There was so many times where I was watching this team in crucial situations late in the game, whether they won or lost. Clowney seemed like he was carrying the defense, and that's with some other big-time players on their defense. I really thought that. So he's a do-it-all guy. He's an elite run stopper, too, and that's what stands out to me. An elite run stopper that is developing more and more and better of a pass rush game each year. Right away, they didn't really have a firm position for him. So now they do. He's been set there for a couple years now. He's going to continue to get better. Hopefully he plays. Hopefully he's back. He's at number 5. On to the big top 4 here. Top 4. Number 4 is going to be Melvin Ingram of the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm sure you guys hear me talk about Melvin Ingram all the time. I love this guy's game. Another guy, if you go look at the sacks, it's not going to show up. Joey Bosa is projected to get more sacks, and I'm on board for that if he stays healthy. But Ingram, he'll get some sacks. He'll get at least 7, probably 8, 9, 10, that range. But he does so much for this Chargers defense, who I think clearly a top 10 defense, probably a top 5 defense in my opinion. If you take him away, they're outside the top 10. He's that important. He's a Gus Bradley. He's a Gus Bradley specialty player. The guy plays like 4 different positions. He is the key to that defense. He stops the run at a very high level, I'll say elite level. Gets after the quarterback, highly instinctive. And he's the guy that you can tell by his play that he watches a lot of film, and you got to respect that. Everyone probably watches is maybe as much film as him, but he reacts to it on the field as soon as teams line up. So very impressive player to me. I think he's been underrated. He's a huge part of that Chargers. If you don't watch the Chargers every week and you have a chance one week to watch the Chargers, just watch Melvin Ingram. Just only watch him. It's fun. It's very fun. He's not going to light up the box score at all, really, and it's a shame that people go off that. Number 3 is Danielle Hunter of the Minnesota Vikings. This guy's a freak. He's one for the future too. Only 24 years old. An elite run stopper already. Think about when he came out of LSU, they drafted him as he's really already an elite run stopper coming out of LSU, but career sacks 2.5. The way he's developed as a pass rusher at 24 years old only is ridiculous. I think he was in the lead for sacks last year for most of the time, and then Aaron Donald went bonkers, I guess you could say. So Hunter is just freakishly developing more and more of a pass rush game at his young age, and he's going to continue to. I think he's a candidate for the sack leader this year. So he's just super productive and impressive to me. So he actually, if you're keeping track, out of the 4-3 defensive ends, he's the last one. So he's my number 1 4-3 defensive end for the upcoming season, and he's definitely one for the future as well. Number 2, the pretty obvious 1 and 2 kind of separate themselves. Number 2, Von Miller of the Denver Broncos. I don't really think there's too much separating these two, but it was a clear choice that Khalil Mack was one. They're both very similar. They both do pretty much everything you ask them. They can stop the run at a very high level. They can drop back if you want them to. They'll get after the quarterback. They'll get the pressures. They'll get the sacks. They'll do everything. They're very instinctive. I just think instincts, when I see instincts, it hits me. It really, you got to respect it. You got to love it. I think Khalil Mack has the edge on that a little bit. It's just something you cannot coach. I think you're born with it, really. Just play recognition and knowing what's going on when the play is going on. And some of the, not that Von Miller doesn't do any of that, just some of the forced fumbles that Khalil Mack gets, it's not on accident. He knows exactly what he's doing. And just the impact that he can make. And just like pretty much everybody on this list makes a huge impact, but just getting traded to the Bears right before the season starts and just the impact he makes, the presence that he makes, I guess that's how you got to split the two up. But now Von Miller has got Khalil Mack's coach from last year, Vic Fangio, who's a defensive genius pretty much. So we'll see what he can make happen with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. That's going to be a lot of fun. It looks like, I just noticed that now, even though we're singling guys out, it looks like we got some of the top defenses at the top here with the Bears, Broncos, Vikings, Chargers. There's some the Jags, the Ravens, other defenses that will definitely compete up there with these teams. But I just noticed that right now. Pretty interesting that we see pretty much what's projected the top defenses and really have been the top defenses for the most part. The Broncos, I kind of expected to be better in the past. Didn't really live up to it. I think they'll live up to it now. So let me know your guys' thoughts. Oh, yeah. I got some honorable mentions here. Almost forgot. So who did I consider? I mean, I saw a couple of rookies. I like Cleveland Farrell and Brian Burns as well. Brian Burns was very high on my big board too, just behind Montez Sweat. I think he could have a little bit of an adjustment, being they're going to try to put some size on him, but he'll make an impact. Cleveland Farrell will make an impact. He's not going to be super flashy, but he'll play very well. So I just want to touch on the rookies real quick, but the kind of the veterans. We talked about Packers guys, Darius Smith. What about Preston Smith? They got him too. He stops the run at a high level. Not too much involved as a pass rusher in pass rushing, but he's still young. He can definitely develop it. So I really considered him. I like how he stops the run. He can tackle. Marcus Davenport, the Saints, definitely if he stays healthy, can sneak in there. Matt Judon's got a bigger role. I mean, he was kind of that guy, but already for the Ravens, but they lost a few guys, so he's got to be that guy and step up. Those are the main guys that I really considered there. I know there's more. Cameron Wake of the Titans, he's really getting up there in age, though. I mean, there's definitely more we can sit here and talk about all day, but I just really wanted to give a shout out to the guys that I strongly considered there. And again, rookies are involved because I'm predicting the upcoming season. That's the key word. I'm predicting the upcoming season with this. It's not based off last year, which I really don't think it's too far off based off the past, what they've done. I feel very strongly about every list, but I feel very strongly about this list. Definitely one I worked hard on. I work hard on all of them, but definitely a lot went into this because you kind of really got to evaluate them and recognize, I'm just not all about the sacks. Sacks are, when Aaron Donald gets that many sacks, and Aaron Donald could be involved in this list where he's not even a passer, it's pretty ridiculous. But it's not all about the sacks is my point. Hopefully everyone recognizes that. But more of these rankings on the way. We'll also rank like team offense, defense, or team cores, like defensive line cores, just pass rush cores in general. That'll be a lot of fun. Some fantasy content coming up. Yeah, can't wait for the season. Full coverage in season 2, so hopefully you can join us for that. That's going to do it for this one. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Goodbye.